now we're just waiting together. Isn't it exciting? Fabulous weather. God damn. Weather is by name. Yeah, Betty. Hello? Hello? What about now? Oh, thank you so much. Ravel to expand, explain there was no sound. So let me say again. Welcome, Earthlings. Are you hearing me now? This is Piro314. I'm broadcasting, as you know, worldwide in search of like minds. Unlike minds also welcome. But if you're like man, leave a comment or something, please. Please. This is a broadcast out there to make a connection. Please tell me there's some people that see the future. I know there's some. I've already seen some. I mean, I'm just being dramatic. I'm broadcasting from the soon-to-be frozen state of Maine via the MC WCAM broadcasting platform located, as you know, high in the stratosphere, usually at midnight, which is a location, not a time like you think, if that's what you were thinking. Welcome. All right. Yeah, I was muted before. Thank you to my viewers. You only need a couple viewers to help you get you back. Right? It's good stuff. Good. All right, I still don't know what kind of alert J. Troy Doe has. He might be a sentient internet piece of software. I don't know exactly how you, but which I mean as a compliment, J. Troy, by the way. That would be a compliment. I would love to be a sentient piece of software, if only. Not necessarily, really. We could get into that as an actual discussion. But I mean, I like the idea. I think it's funny. Okay, so let's see what we're dealing with here. Now, I have a lot of little tricks that I want to be able to do. You know, I have that dry erase board and stuff, and it's on a little thing that's also a monitor, which has become fairly reasonable considering, you know, a tablet you can draw on it. But because of the pads and the iPads and the whatever, the tablets. So on the other hand, you can't. I don't have a piece of software to write right on the screen. I know they exist, but there's ways to screen cap and things like that. Because I would love to. I wish I could just draw on the screen. I was pretty sure there's a Windows way to do that, but let's see. For example, there's the. I think it's called Snip and Sketch or something. Like, yeah. So I could do this. Okay, so let's say I do this. Oh, I see. Did it wrong. And then, see, it's not working. But, you know, I could use GIMP to capture things and draw on them. But I just wish I could draw. See, this is my pen, but I wish I could just draw on an overlay. Is there any software that people know how to do that with? I mean, I've looked it up before. Let's see. Draw on screen Windows for screen share. How about that? Let's see if that works. Oh, you don't see that? Why? How come you wouldn't see that? Oh, wait, because that's old. Let me see. What about over here? No? Yeah, okay. Jeez. I can't look at the YouTube feed. It's too many 30 seconds old or something. Okay, draw on screen Windows. No, I don't want to do that. Draw on screen. Draw in real time. Share my screens. Okay. 2015. That won't be good. Let's not do that. We don't want to do that. How to draw on the desktop. Yeah, exactly. And this is 5 years ago. Yeah, screen share. screenshot is shitty because sketch, it's just it takes a screenshot. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, what a moron. Yeah, of course you would. You didn't read that? Sorry, you don't know what I'm talking about then. Um, all right. So what are we really going through? Okay, first of all, I watched this Parlor Watch Reddit because I don't want to go to Parlor and stuff like that, and but I want to see what's going on. I want to monitor all the subcultures. But some of the subcultures is like they're in a part of the swamp I don't really want to go to. When I was younger, whatever, I could go, but I don't really want my IP on Parlor and 4chan just so I can hear what's going on. Other people will do that. You can always plug in a couple links. And as you get older, probably you go a couple links down the way, which makes you indirect. You might miss something when the culture moves or whatever, but they don't just watch Parlor here, but see what's up here in the new category. We'll just put a couple up. 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 5, 6, 7. Oh, good. September 8th. Let's actually start with that one because I know I mentioned September 18th. I said 8th, huh? September 18th. Big DC Revolution rally supporting this January 6th traders. Nothing really happened from it. Ooh, I'm going to look at that. I'm going to look. Hold on a second. I mean, I don't care if you see who I am, but on Reddit. But if I have a couple replies, I'm not going to read the alerts. Look at those later. So you know what? The stream idea is a little more interactive. So I'm sorry that it's boring, but isn't that's part of the idea? So okay. September 18th. Any chatter about tonight? Does anyone? Oh, you know what? I can do this. What about this?
Sept 18th. Any chatter about tonight? Does anyone know if more anti-vax J6 protests are planned for tonight? Because as we know, once the IDK, I can't shake the feeling that something is going down tonight in DC. Maybe it was the pizza I ate, or I have gas, lol, d, but just now, beyond that feeling, just got a sense of something bad.
Well, I don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, they were saying they were going to do it. What does everybody say? I don't think anything's going to happen. Video stream showed the crowd size to be pathetic. That's correct. I myself saw that. I could show you some of those because I always like to stream as many protests and things as I can. What was the one I just... well, I guess I could just look this way. No, not that way. Here we go. This is what I was talking about. So let me put this in the mistnet, right? Oops. So, so they had a bunch of video, and there was nobody there. So I mean, I'm not trying to cop out of the fact that I was saying something might happen. I was just curious, though. I'm glad nothing really happened. That's what I would expect.
I'm about to upload it, but I wanted to give you a little bit of a language warning. There's gonna be a bit of language from some of the counter protesters or some of the protesters. There'll be some signs you don't like, some t-shirts you don't like. You might like some of them, you might not. I don't know. It's up to you. Just wanted to give you a heads up, though. I'm trying to show you what I saw today, and some of it isn't as tame as I normally show you. All right, here we go.
Hey guys, good morning. It's about 9:30. I'm at the Vice President's place, and we are making our way down to the mall where the Justice for J6 protests are going to take place today.
Oh, look, the comments are working.
They're planning for the worst. The
All of a
police
sudden.
have mobilized hundreds, if not thousands, of reserves from various jurisdictions, and they just swore them in this morning. Barriers are up, fences are up, the snowplows are out. So we're going to go down and take a look, see what we can see. I'm going to do a number of broadcasts today, probably a couple live broadcasts, and then you'll see this one at the end of the day, all the edited highlights. So let's go get some breakfast and get downtown. So guys, we are downtown at 17th and H. This is the new executive office building. This is where the Secret Service is based, in large part. And we are going to swing through Lafayette Park and the White House on our way up to the Capitol just to take a look. I think the park is still open. I don't think they closed it off. Well, I'm mistaken. No. They have some barriers up like they might.
So Inventive Harvest says the right didn't plan it. We found out about it. I guess Inventive Harvest is saying they're the right. When they announced the fence going back up. Well, I heard about it earlier than that because of Track and Parlor and Colt headquarters and stuff.
Most of the rest of the city is, well, pretty much business as usual.
This is pretty good
Spotters up on the roof.
content. I think he's on an electric bicycle.
Well, they're just arriving at it, putting their gear down. Okay, so these guys are here.
Very pleasing.
And there's a smattering of tourists and Instagram girls taking their pictures. And of course, a black squirrel of death. Black squirrels are relatively common here in DC. Originally, I was told it was one an albino squirrel.
Well, this is an example of the nothing, but what else does he get to the people? Here we go.
We're going to find out about
So I think that's the organizer of today's events. The dudes in the sunglasses.
Where did I hear it from? Because I watch
uploaded later at the end of the day,
Parlor and some YouTube channels that try to cover this stuff. I don't know.
Coming in.
I heard it before the fence going back up, before DC heard about it. I would say this Parlor watch.
These are all media. There's
Reddit
one or two people
Parlor
in the
watch.
mix there. They're actually
They've actually downloaded Parlor stuff if you want to read it all.
Just rather large lack of protesters.
And then also QAnon casualties in Colt headquarters, and you hear what those guys are talking about.
Oh God, I don't know what this guy is.
so many heroes, great heroes of fame. We look to the past and remember their names. In good times we praise them, but in the long night, remember how they once turned darkness to light. There are many heroes among us.
I thought they arrested that guy. He doesn't have the horns. Oh, so down here, there's a little bit more of a circus atmosphere. The people here probably 12:05. I don't know. It's not going to be a blog thing. The National Guard. Oh, here comes some protesters. Counter protesters. Oh, there's a guy calling for Trump to be arrested. And here comes the swarm of media. There's an anti-Trump guy. This guy wants to fight.
I haven't watched this, by the way. I was watching this guy's streams earlier, but I didn't really see much. I was watching this live, you know what I mean?
Too many people.
Exciting!
This guy's going nuts.
Freedom! This is what they were saying, more media than protesters. Oh, by the way, I have it sped up. Actually, it's not a good time to have stuff sped that up exactly. Well, it is, and it isn't.
He wanted to fight. I think that's what he was. The guy arrested someone who was. They made an arrest. I think that was. They must have arrested that guy or arrested someone who was going after him. Yeah, he was willing.
I was also watching Vouch, who was restreaming Dylan Burns, who was there. Not a big fan of Dylan Burns, but you know, good for him to going down and it's simple.
Yeah.
Take it, goddamn traitors! If he would ever see.
Sellouts!
Sellouts!
He's a little bit nuts. Yep, they're calling.
You devil
Here they come.
worshipper!
Vroom, 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 vroom.
Bike cops.
They got their belt.
Bike cops. Bike cops. Bike cops. It's a song about bike cops. Bike cops. They're on a bike. And they're cops. Cops on a bike. Get off. You better rather if they were on their bike than getting off, because that means, oh shit, they're gonna beat you with a bike.
Those are pretty wicked bike helmets, don't you think?
Yeah, I think yes, they're pretty wicked bike helmets. And the bikes would be cooler if they were blue or yellow with black stripes or whatever. Bike lives matter. Bike lives matter, see? I don't know, are they being weird or not? Yeah, look, that guy's making a fence with his bike.
And he's gone.
Sometimes
so
they like to make the
let's
bike.
Let's make our way back over this way. They got another bike unit going.
I don't know if you noticed this ever before, but sometimes they try to make the bikes, the cop bikes, like more formidable because you can use them as weapons and shield weapons and barriers, you know, to try to toughen it up is pretty much why I think they do that.
Public investigation into many of the things that happened that have not been investigated publicly or third-party oversight, especially the death of Ashley Babbitt.
Yeah, nothing ever gets investigated. If only they would invest Hillary for more than just 4, 5, 6, 10, 20 years.
I know that you sometimes read letters by family members. If you should happen to read this letter, please don't reveal his name. I don't want anything retaliation of any kind. Thank you for all of your efforts, and please keep up the good fight. Sincerely,
I saw through Vouch, Marcus, a good interview, so I'm subscribed to his video channel from just recently, and I'm gonna watch him if he does that. I really like people that do in the street interviews, but like at protests, but also just in the street ones. Inventive Harvest probably would remember your videos if I saw one. You sound familiar, but I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly. But I'm terrible with names. It doesn't mean anything. Like all the recollections could come to me from just seeing one video. And are you an anti-natalist? Are you a right-wing anti-natalist or something? Sorry, I'm just being provocative. Probably can't even hear me. Yeah, look, they try to be like, I'm not just a bicyclist, I'm a big cop. This bike is a thing of a weapon. It's like my flashlight. Look, I make a perimeter, and a couple cops stand in the middle. Don't come in here. I have a plexiglass shield. Get away from me, sir. Back off, sir. We are very choreographed.
This looks like that scene from Hot Fuzz when they were in the grocery store.
Look at that. Oh, I see. We're making a circle around this poor sop that's being arrested, and there's 3 of them, and that's why there's 10 of us making sure this happens. You guys out there are all okay, but not this guy. Don't come in here. Oh, nice. Look, one of the old flags. Circular. I love the circular American flag. When we add the next couple states, we should do a circular flag again. As a matter of fact, I would like the whole thing to be circular with just the red and black and white stripes in the back and a big blue circle with all the 55 stars. Oh, inventive heart. Sorry, I was, like I said, I was just being provocative. Okay, not an anti-natalist. I totally recognize your name. Put a link to your videos, and I will remember your. Well, we can watch them. Except for I might run out of time. Don't have infinite time here. Oh my God, we're already half an hour.
I'll tell you what terrifies them. This is what terrifies them. A peaceful assembly.
What do you think, guys? Should we go down and see the other protest?
Made it seem like Batman was saying that.
You guys want to go to the other protest?
Don't ask me. I don't even know what's going on.
Down here is Freedom Plaza, where a lot
See,
of
he's on his electric bike again. I'd like to get an electric bike.
Skateboarding for YouTube. It's also where the counter, a lot of them showed up.
Maybe he's skateboarding.
Well in excess of number hanging out. It's at the White House. Back.
I think streaming this part's probably, if you're watching it live, this is pretty pleasant. I watched some of it when he was live doing this.
President is not.
I couldn't tell if he was skateboarding or what. Ooh, helicopters. Okay, so enough of that, right? Much more organized fear. Don't want to read. Let's see what the delusion. If Trump and the Patriots were not in control, cyber ninjas would never have the routers and S-logs. AZ will decertify, and there's nothing the Democratic Party can do to stop it. See, this is from or from Parler Watch. So this is from some Parler place or something, I guess, or just a Parler Reddit. Is this just a right-wing Reddit? Oh, The Great Awakening. I think that's the website. Good angle. Where does it say that the ninjas will have the routers? They will have them. No matter how many times Maricopa County tweets or lies about the routers and the Splunk logs, it's over. Daisy will decertify. Orange heart. Oh my God. No other. What do these people say about it? No such thing again. Yeah, nobody thinks that the AZ is going to decertify. Oh. Do not comply. You know, the thing about this is, as I've said many times, I'm not a big pro taking vaccine or a new medicine. In fact, I specifically, since my 20s, so basically most of my life, all my adult life, I basically thought, you know what, I don't want to take a medicine that's less than 5 years old. Now, ironically, I had brain surgery once with technology that was almost exactly 5 years old when it had matured and was really good. Basically, they had a little wand. They could scan your brain and use a little wand so that when they're going in there to cauterize the leaky vessel, in my case, you know, it's all these folds. So when you were trying to go down in the old days, you had to go down this way. And it's like, oh, it's not there. Like you could have a CT scan and know where it was, but it didn't show you the shape of the folds to get there. So you might have to open a little brain fold and it's like, nope, not this one. And it's down here. And since it goes around like, you know, whatever, it's complicated. But with the wand and the MRI showed the fold, they just go dee 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 dee. My brain surgeon said it was a 4 out of 10. I had well, no, not my brain surgeon. That was the Stanford brain surgeon. The UCSF brain surgeon didn't give that particular comment, but he said for what they were doing, and I was lucky because I got a top brain surgeons because it was just becoming mature. That's 5 years. So that's what I would prefer. And I never got a flu shot because I don't really get the flu. I don't really. Now, am I carrying the flu? You know, maybe it's time to rethink that. But I never felt pressed or need to get it because that is maybe it's not even a good thing, right? Maybe I'm slightly anti-vax. But when it comes down to pandemics and things, I'm going to bet with the scientists. I believe that's the odds-on bet. Now, can they get it wrong? Yeah. But just a bunch of idiots going from their intuition and pulling shit out of their ass is going to go even wronger. That's what I figure. Now, if it's not push comes to shove, then it's like do your own thing. And if you're willing to take the ramifications, do your own thing. But you have to understand that society can make a gambling bet, trying to bet with the odds or the best experts instead of just whatever, or intuition, superstition, and you might not be able to go into businesses. It's just like there's some businesses, if you don't want to wear a shirt, you can't go in. And pretty much nowhere can you go without pants. And these are all somewhat arbitrary, and you can make reasons for them, and those reasons can make sense. But in a private society, you just have to take the responsibility. Like, you can be naked all the time, but you will probably have to be in your house or the house of somebody that's okay with that, or a particularly structured kind of pub or whatever. So do not comply. Okay, don't comply, and then yeah, these people are quitting jobs and stuff. According to like you read like these chewing on casualties and stuff. People are, well, not just that. There's news stories. People are quitting their job. Actually, I know in my own life somebody in the medical profession doing paperwork. I don't know them personally. I know people that work there where this person is leaving. They've been in a job 20 years. They're leaving because they don't want to get a vaccine. Do not comply. Okay, if you're willing to take that ramification, but that kind of sucks for everybody, including the people that need that paperwork done and the person doing it. Over what? You're more afraid of a vaccine than the germs, but there's science showing that the vaccine is not killing. Like some of the Q people are saying, oh, it's killing 4 out of 5 people or whatever, 1 out of 5 people. The vaccine. And it's like, well, I know a lot of people that are vaccinated. None of them are dead. And I know a few COVID dead people. So it is what it is, right? So save 25% off for being anti. It's such a grift, this bullshit. I don't really want to read all of these. I want to watch some of the videos that we have. We're getting in, 40 minutes anyway. This looks interesting, though. Okay, let's read this one. We won't do the rest of them. Anti-SJW logic. If you write a story with all white people, they bitch that it's nothing but white people. If you write a story with other races, they bitch you are writing outside your race. Basically, these crazy fuckers don't want white people to write anything. But they can't just say white people stop writing, period, because that would sound incredibly racist. So they have to engage in all these bizarre contortions to try and justify their completely unjustifiable bullshit worldview. Alright, Angsty Ting. Okay, ignoring all the times white people are praised for adding diverse characters that the site bitches about. Yes, true. Again, when SJWs are confronted with accusations that their college professors are brainwashing them, they always dissemble and sidestep the matter, claiming that they independently came to their opinions after considerable study and critical thinking. Well, everybody does that, and everybody also hears word things from others in society. What you really have to watch out for is the received opinions that you didn't even realize you have because they just soaked in before you had a waiting room in your brain. I can prove that this is bullshit, says the poster. Trends, Google Trends. Social justice. Social justice has a trend line that looks like a heartbeat, and this heartbeat aligns exactly with the start and end of college semesters. This is exactly what you'd expect to see if people were attending brainwashing camps en masse on a regular basis. Heartbeats are steady and rhythmic. This just keeps going up and up, spiking hard in 2016 during the start of BLM, which crests a lot of noise singles here. What the hell is this person talking about? What are you talking about? Yeah, I don't know what that sounds like bullshit. I don't even want to look into it. I wish I hadn't read that one. Okay, I'm just trying doing some of this. It's a stream. Like, why not some of the things that I'm gonna watch? Why not queue them up? Yeah, there's no problems. The vaccine's fine. Who knows what? Nothing's perfect. But okay, so I will probably. Everybody probably knows about Sylvester. I forget when I found Sylvester, but years ago.
The third video that I'm filming today, and it's only 3 p.m. I did, however, change my shirt so that it doesn't look like I have filmed 3 videos in a row. So don't say I don't put effort into my videos. Changing shirts, I mean, that's effort. Anyway,
Oh
I
my
tend to
God,
tell a lot
I
of story
should
times on this
do-
channel,
I
and
should do
usually
that.
the story times revolve around painful or traumatic moments in my life. So usually I'm talking about situations where I was the victim or where I was harmed by others. But for the sake of keeping things balanced here on this channel and for the sake of transparency, I thought today I would flip the script a little bit and talk about the times when I was the bad guy, when I was the bully instead of the one being bullied. Admittedly, I can't think of too many examples of this. Not that I'm just that good of a guy, but frankly, I was usually the one getting bullied. I was usually the one getting picked on, so I didn't have as many opportunities to bully people, I suppose. I didn't have the social capital to bully people. But, that's not to say that I wasn't shitty when I was younger. I feel like everybody's a little shitty when they're a kid or a teenager. I mean, that's kind of the nature of growing up in this world, is we absorb the things around us, and that includes hate and prejudice and shitty opinions. So there are many things. If I just sat here and told you all of the dumb, shitty things that I said and did as a kid and a teenager, we'd be here forever. Like, one example I can think of off the top of my head is that I had these 2 gay friends growing up. I would have been like 13, 14 years old at the time, and I remember I would always use the word gay as an insult. Yeah, this was kind of the thing back in the early 2000s, is people would be like, oh, that's so gay, or you're gay, and gay just meant dumb or bad. And obviously that's offensive. You shouldn't use the word gay as a derogatory term, because there is absolutely nothing wrong with being gay. But I remember getting into this huge fight with my gay friends because I'd always be like, oh man, that's so gay, and they'd be like, don't say that. We're gay. What are you trying to say? Are you trying to say that we suck? I was like, no, it's just a word. You guys are just being wimps. Get over it. So yeah, I definitely had some shitty opinions back then, and I thank my lucky stars that I was late to the game when it came to social media. Because if I had social media when I was like 13 and younger, the shit I would have posted on there, not only cringeworthy, but probably a lot of it would have been quite problematic. So yeah, and that's why I always tend to be a little more lenient when I see young kids on social media and they get canceled or they get some kind of major backlash directed at them, because it's like, at the end of the day, they're kids, and we all go through it. I feel like nobody in their life is a saint. Nobody can look back on their life.
Yeah, no, I never bullied anybody. Fuck that shit. We're done with this one. Sorry, Sylvester. Weak sauce, if you ask me. Ooh, I got a, this is a Jimmy Dro.
I just want to remind people that WikiLeaks published the first documents leaked by Chelsea Manning on
That's right.
February 18, 2010. Is that it? Yeah. So recently, Chelsea Manning tweeted out.
Greenwald.
And I just want to remind people that.
What a disappointment. Glenn Greenwald. I thought I would have a good journalist for decades off of Glenn, and I don't mind like so-called problematic positions. I knew that Glenn is the kind of liberal that's libertarian, and so am I, really. In other words, also just independent and not going, and also an anti-democratic party. I think the Democratic Party stabbed us in the back. The only use of the Democratic Party is a practical one, like what Bernie did. And yeah, we can try to take it over, use it as leverage. I'd like to have IRV, as they call it, instant runoff voting, or ranked choice voting, same thing, where you can rank the people, and then you could have third parties with that, and you could vote for third parties without giving up your ability to vote for someone more likely to win. You could rank who you prefer in order. And that would be good, and it would help the Democrats, because they got competent people that, did good in school, read books and stuff, but they happen to be kind of assholes. But, so anti-democratic party are critical of it, fine, but to the point where you defend the Republicans and Trump from Democratic Party attacks, it's like, no, those guys are fighting each other. What are you doing ending up, taking Tucker Carlson's side or whatever? And then it happened to Jimmy Dore, Not surprising. And certain other people or whatever, that on the left, you have a bunch of Q and Q adjacent people on the left from that's anti-vax and conspiracy sided things being two different things. But Glenn Greenwald, still disappointed. Matt Taibbi, not as surprised, honestly. Aaron Mate, a little bit surprised, a little bit disappointed, but not as surprised. But Glenn Greenwald, I expected him to stay above it all. He's joining the ranks of Democracy Now! Sold out, but Jimmy Dore's totally hit. I mean, Jimmy Dore doesn't know what the fuck's going on. Doesn't even matter if he's based in some sense, because he doesn't know what the fuck's going on. We need people that know what the fuck's going on and have the right politics. That's what'll guide us, not this. Anyway, okay, let's go. Did I speed it up?
The last chapter of my book, Your Country's Just Not That Into You, it's a bestseller, or, around my neighborhood. And the last chapter was devoted to Chelsea Manning and praising her and the courage that she showed. And anyway, so if you'd like to, you can get my book and read that. But she recently tweeted out, so I was also a big supporter, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Glenn Greenwald, I don't have $10,000 right now, but if I get it, I want to send it back to you from a donation you once did. I can't deal with this anymore. I'm terrified of you and everything you do. You're greedy, unprincipled, and I'm embarrassed for ever considering you a friend. So she tweeted that out on September 2nd, and then she said, last night, during the floods, I decided that I'm no longer going to be afraid of saying what's on my mind anymore or taking a stand from the people that I once considered allies but who have chosen to bash, harass, humiliate, intimidate, and lie to get ahead. To those he has hurt, I'm sorry, I didn't say anything. I was scared, and that's my fault. I don't know what the flood. Anyway, Glenn responded by saying the only thing worse than false accusations are ones so vague you can't respond to them, allowing people's imagination to do the work. That's standard now in left liberal politics. Her false claims went viral and produced tabloid headlines like that. And the headline down there was Chelsea Manning says she's terrified of former pal Glenn Greenwald. Then you went on to say friendships that depend on political agreement were never friendships, just cynical transactions. When she was in prison trying repeatedly to kill herself, I was one of the only people who visited.
Bullshit. What it is, Glenn, is that you become fascist adjacent because of your bullshit. And like when Glenn was on with Sam Cedar, he had to admit that these things weren't as black and white. Like it was a Russiagate. Trump was talking to the Russians during his campaign. That's totally established. They don't even deny it. They made comments on it, Giuliani and Trump. We were done. He was trying to make a deal. They were trying to get dirt. But you can't prove they got it or made the deal. Whatever. It's not a total hoax. He was colluding. That doesn't mean illegal conspiracy, but guess what? If you read the Mueller report, there was illegal conspiracy. Just there was no one to prosecute it. There's no sheriff in this town except for Congress, which was being run by Republicans. So, what happened? It's not a fucking mystery what goddamn happened. And Glenn is taking that fucking Trump side. Like, why can't he be criticizing Trump and the Republicans and the right-wing shit as much as Democrats? And then also exploiting Democrats that are more sympathetic versus less sympathetic. It's very fucking weird. I don't get it. That is the real politic of the situation. But Glenn is acting like Jimmy does, that everything's fine on the right wing. Let's cooperate with Boogaloo Boys. What the real problem is Hillary Clinton and Hillary Clinton's a nothing in history, man. That's not going to be a major name unless it's because they write down about how the Republicans were obsessed with her and or just exploiting a scarecrow they created in her. No, there's a word for that. An effigy that they created of her.
Visited, spent hours on the phone, and raised money for her. No good deed goes unpunished. Tell me about it. Lots of people on the left, not all, but many, mistake friendships for political agreements, such that when the political agreement erodes for them, the friendship does too. Friendships that don't transcend politics or require political agreement have no value. But that's very well said. And
I should be a writer.
You should look into it. And I just want to show everybody that Glenn was an unbelievable supporter of Chelsea. Here's the stuff that he had written in the inhumane conditions of Bradley Manning's detention. Here's more every time you'd go on the Democracy Now! To defend her. Here's 2 more times on different videos.
She thinks Glenn has become a danger, and she's saying what she thinks. This goes 2 ways, right? She is saying thinks he's a danger. She could be paranoid, and if that's the case, then fine. She's saying what she thinks so that we can all make an assessment. But acting like, you should be thankful. How dare you speak against me when I was helping you when you were in prison? How about when she was in prison, being in prison, and helping your... I, Chelsea Manning, would feel that way about you. How about cover that subject? Jimmy Dore's such a freaking... I don't even know what to call it. He's a sham of a snake oil salesman. Spent most of his life barely caring about politics, and then all you youngins think, oh, but what about the last 10 years? Yeah, well, I've been following this stuff and caring about this stuff a lot longer than that, and I'm younger than Jimmy. And he talks about people didn't accomplish anything. Well, his excuse for not accomplishing anything yet was that he wasn't trying. Fucking bullshit. And Glenn is...
Well, I'm Bradley Manning. Bradley Manning, the prosecutor's overreach could turn all whistleblowers into treason. So you just constantly... I mean, we could do this all day, show you how many times you defended Chelsea. And so let's and I'll finish this. And then you say, while Julian Assange is rotting in prison, Chelsea Manning recently smeared him when he couldn't defend himself, announcing that if she had to do it over again, she would not have leaked to WikiLeaks. Maligning someone unjustly rotting in prison is not an attribute I value. Concur. And this was kind of scummy. The Intercept... activist and whistleblower Chelsea Manning joins Ryan Grimm and Ken Klipperstein on Deconstructed to talk about prison, prospects for whistleblowers in the Biden era, and what she's been up to since her release. And the quote that they tweeted out was Chelsea saying, if Ken were around in 2010, he would have been the recipient. Let's just put it that way. I guess they're saying instead of Julian Assange, and he didn't deserve it. And of course, Aaron Mate, award-winning independent journalist Aaron Mate, says Julian Assange is currently being caged and tortured for being the recipient of those leaked documents and courageously publishing them. What a shitty thing to say, and what even more callous and bullshit thing to promote. So... let me just bring in Glenn. I was stunned by the whole thing.
Yeah, or the other thing is that, and by the way, I watched this QAnonymous podcast I mentioned, and Chelsea Manning was on there recently. And Chelsea Manning has her own podcast or YouTube cast or whatever. And Chelsea Manning's greater than I used to think before I saw the direct personality and take on things. And I think that Chelsea Manning having those feelings about Assange, just like with Glenn Greenwald, works the other way. Like, I was a big fan of Assange. Remember, Assange is the one that published Manning's things. You can say, oh, poor Assange. Yeah, he was in an embassy. He was in an embassy for all that time. That's terrible, but that's about top level of house arrest you can have, whereas Manning was in prison and reportedly abused some of that time in a significant way, not embassy. Oh, there's not enough cream today for all the coffee I wanted to drink. And frankly, I also agree. Yeah, I have suspicions of Assange now. I mean, and Glenn, it's like this is such a level of, look, I like that people have their own opinions and takes, but this is such a weird take from where Glenn was coming over the last 15 years or whatever it's been, 12 years that I've known about him, that it's bizarre. It's like, what is going on? I mean, what person, if that's shallow, go ahead and call me on it.
It looks like, you know, you get maligned in a similar way. I guess you get way more heat than I'll ever take. But for bringing our message to different people of different political persuasions, which when I was younger, that used to be the gold standard. If you can convince people by the power of your arguments that your progressive ideas were right, that was always considered a victory. And I remember when I went on Tucker, so you go on Tucker Carlson, as do I, to speak to half the country, and in the segment, Tucker Carlson admitted that I'd changed his mind on Julian Assange, which means now the host of the #1 news show gets to say that to half the country, which I think is a huge victory. So for those kind of things, people malign us. But go ahead, Glenn. You can say whatever you'd like to say about it.
Advocate of Chelsea Manning's, although I did probably write more and talk more and go on TV more to defend her and what she did, which, to this very day, notwithstanding everything that happened, I do regard as heroic and deserving of admiration. But it wasn't just that. I mean, it was so much more than that. That first article that you showed when I was at Salon from 2010 about the inhumane conditions under which she was being imprisoned wasn't just a defense of her. I actually broke the story. When she was being tortured, basically, by being held in this extreme solitary confinement and these humiliating circumstances, I was able to get a source who had known about the conditions under which she was being held, and I was the first person to report that story.
How dare she
and by
not
doing that,
appreciate
it caused
that, Glenn?
President Obama's national security
Hey, here's
spokesperson,
another
P.J. Crowley,
take.
to resign in protest because he had been...
Here's another take that she does appreciate that, and there's something else even more concerning about you, Glenn.
Army, and he said, I can't believe that we would treat one of our own soldiers like this, someone who had gone to Iraq, and now we're essentially torturing her. The Obama administration transferred her very quickly after my reporting to a much better facility, which was Fort Leavenworth, and not a very good facility. It's a military brig in the middle of Kansas, but way better than the place in which she was being held, all before trial. And then I, did go everywhere and defended her. And then when she was in Fort Leavenworth, the facility had very restrictive rules about who it was that she could communicate with, because she doesn't have the same rights as an ordinary prisoner because it's a military prison. They have much more restricted rights. And under the rules of that facility, the only people with whom she was allowed to communicate or have as visitors were either lawyers or journalists. And she was able to get me on the list with the facility by virtue of my status as a journalist. And, she kept telling me...
So I guess this all proves that Chelsea's full of shit. She used one of her few slots of communication with Glenn, and that means that her criticism of Glenn now should just be considered meaningless, because it's not like she's ever committed anything to Glenn or to Glenn's, Snowden government whistleblowing process. Like Glenn Greenwald person. She's obviously a former fan, like myself, of Glenn Greenwald, the journalist. I don't know what the hell has happened to you. It's bizarre.
Over and over how important it would be for me to go visit her. And, I live in Brazil. She was in the middle of Kansas. It's like a very isolated facility. And so in 2014 or 2015, at the height of the Snowden reporting, when, I hadn't left Brazil for almost a year because of threats from the U.S. government that they were going to arrest me, I flew to Kansas City. I got a car. I drove, an hour and a half onto this military base while I was doing the Snowden reporting. It was very uncomfortable. And I visited her. I sat with hours, with her for hours, talking about the difficulties that she was undergoing in that prison. She had already announced that she was beginning her transition while in the custody of a military facility. She was having a huge amount of psychological struggles that were all very well reported. It's not like I've revealed anything by saying that. Her suicide attempts have been publicly reported. And then once I got back to Brazil, she also got me onto her call list. I was one of the very few people that she called. She had no one to call. She was in that prison all day, going crazy. But the problem was she couldn't make any phone calls unless her canteen was filled with money, and she had no money. Her family has no money. There was no one to give her money. So the only way to put money into the canteen of Chelsea Manning when she was in prison was to send a money order, which I obviously couldn't do from Brazil. So because it had to be from a U.S. bank. So my mother used to go to the bank, and with her own money or mine, I would reimburse her, buy money orders, and then FedEx them to where Chelsea was in this facility so that she could call people, including me. She could buy things from the canteen, whatever. Nobody else was doing that. I was just giving her my own money all the time. And then, she was very lonely and struggling through a lot of things.
See, none of these things mean that if the person that did that for you starts aiding and abetting all of our neo-fascists, that you should ignore that issue. None of these are like that. Like, I paid for your book bag when you went to school, and I gave you free dinners when you needed a free dinner. None of those are good reasons. Those are not good answers to why is Chelsea saying these things? What is the core of, what is giving a reason for Chelsea Manning to worry and criticize you, Glenn? How about you answer that like a journalist instead of telling what great friends you used to be and what great things you did? That just proves that Chelsea Manning has a reason to be thankful. And you know what? She is thankful for that, and there's something even bigger than that going on. And you could say it's because Chelsea Manning thinks something is a big deal that I don't think is a big deal. Then say that. Chelsea Manning thinks that me flirting in this Tucker Carlson Boogaloo Boy cooperative. It's bullshit. That's dangerous. Talk about that and say, oh, but it's not dangerous. It's a great idea, Chelsea and world. This is all fucking subterfuge. And the thing about being a Glenn Greenwald fan, I still think he's a very smart person. That means this is all somehow intentional. And that is the weird part. I know that Glenn understands geopolitics enough to know that this whole situation is bullshit. This is not how you would argue with somebody that you have a relationship like this with, that the mom send money orders. That's bullshit. Such lowbrow bullshit. It's below Glenn. I know Glenn understands that that is not something that constitutes an argument.
So I can't tell you, Jimmy, how many hours when it's not a fun thing to have to, spend so much time giving comfort and support to somebody who you've only met once. That one time when I went to prison, when I visited her in the prison, but I regarded her as so heroic that I felt like it was my duty. And I spent, hundreds of hours, not dozens, just listening to her, talking to her. Obviously that forms a friendship and a bond. When she needed money for her lawyers, I went to Piero Midyar and Freedom of the Press Foundation. We did a huge fundraiser for her. Piero Midyar promised to match whatever we could raise for her. We raised like $120,000, $10,000 of which was mine. That's the money she alluded to, one of the donations. And then when she was getting out of prison, there was another fundraiser where we just raised money for her just so she had like a cushion for her own personal use. When she finally got released, when Obama commuted her sentence, I donated another $10,000 to that. I helped lead that campaign. And then when she got out of prison, she just ghosted me. She just stopped talking to me because I guess she didn't need me anymore. Wow. And I wrote her a couple of times. I published all the DMs because the accusations that she posted were.
Glenn talks about these things when other people doing them or doing them. But that little turn there, it's like, just ghosted. I guess they didn't need me anymore. Just wanted my free money orders. Really? And still, so that's your reason. That's your reason that Chelsea Manning, who went through all of that to actually provide the information, just like the Snowden information you got, did that with Assange, and went through all of that for no benefit, and didn't sneak off to Hong Kong and then Russia either. Just went to jail for it, like, yep, I did it, here we go. And your explanation of her criticism of you is, didn't need any more money orders. Well, first of all, as a big-time journalist at The Intercept, funded with hundreds of millions of dollars by a guy that has hundreds of millions of dollars to spend on something like that, you could have made a lot of money for Chelsea Manning by promoting and GoFundMe's or whatever, especially once she was free, when she was allowed to accrue money. And so that doesn't make sense. And this is just amazing behavior that I don't understand, other than Glenn like literally being, maybe he's had a revelation that made this come true, but someone that wanted to undermine the left only, like helped Snowden only because it undermined the left. Not in order to help go leftward and undermine Democrats because they're not really the left, right? Because most of us on the progressive side know that the Democrats are just another kind of conservative, one that still admits they and says they believe in science and stuff, even though they might try to make profit over science. And they go to college and read the books and study the industry that they work in and know a little bit about it, and are just random shitheads that have never worked in education and now they're the head of education. But if it was all just about attacking the left, not even undermining just the Democratic Party, but like the whole idea. And I guess they're going to trash AOC now. I think I've watched enough.
so
Well, maybe
ambiguous.
I
It
did. You know what?
implied.
I think I did see the end of this when it was live because I catch Jimmy, but he doesn't leave his live stuff up. So when you catch it, I think I saw because I remember seeing him talk to Jimmy about
that I was like
AOC.
harassing
So I
her
might
or
not
threatening her, right?
rewatch
To say
this
she's
yet.
terrified of me makes it seem like we have some interpersonal drama when that was never the case. She just stopped, she would go on Good Morning America, she would go on the Today Show, but she would never respond to any of my messages. I once asked her if she would, come on Jeremy Scahill's podcast, which I was co-hosting. Ironically, I ended up interviewing Tucker instead. She just didn't answer. And then out of the blue, the first time I heard from her was in 2018, where she wrote to me and just started barraging me with complaints that I was going on Fox News, that I was going on Tucker Carlson, that I wasn't being as hard on Trump as I should be, saying that she was involved in some sort of war against fascism to take Tucker off the air and was demanding to know which side am I on. And it became very apparent as the DMs I published demonstrate.
Yeah, no, Robert, Chelsea Manning was caught and went to jail and paid the price and got tried. And Snowden, revealed himself because he was on the run and escaped. So personally, I think both of those people deserve credit for what they did, and I don't blame Snowden. And I do give credit for Chelsea for going through getting caught. Do you understand that that kind of information you can sell to an enemy government and fly over there and get paid and retire there? So both of those people, neither of these people, took the most lucrative way out with that information. They both obviously revealed it for reasons of believing that it should be revealed. Glenn and Julian Assange and Glenn Greenwald, I don't know. Their motivation is up in the air now. Answer the question says, I wouldn't assume anybody would actually watch me if I got drunk and yelled at the TV. Who would assume that? What are you talking about? The TV isn't even going on.
That she really wasn't interested in a friendship, that she was really interested in just yelling at me about what she perceived as my political choices. There was nothing else more to it than that. We had no interpersonal conflict. And so it got to a point in 2018 where I basically just stopped responding to her because there was nothing to the interaction. She was just voicing the same complaints about me that any random liberal on Twitter voices about me every day. I go on Fox, I seem to like Trump, I'm too harsh on Hillary Clinton and the Democrats. And there was just nothing to the friendship anymore. So I just stopped responding. And it wasn't until 3 years later, out of the blue, when she went and denounced me that way in those very harsh and vicious and personal terms designed to harm my reputation. And what was so, kind of extraordinary about it was, and this was the most sickening part to me, was not what she did, because she's been through a great deal. I know that she's a person who's still struggling a lot with many things. She even said it in that series of tweets. It was all of these journalists who never gave the slightest shit about Chelsea Manning, were nowhere to be found all those years I was defending her, calling on her to be released from prison, raising money for her. They didn't give the slightest shit about her. Many of them thought she was trash, that she belonged in prison, that she had done wrong. Suddenly they started exploiting this obviously unwell person, somebody that they never cared about at all, pretending that they were her champion because they could use and exploit her as a way of trying to get at me and harm my reputation because of the critiques I make about their media culture. So that was a really disgusting spectacle. And, for me, as I said in that series of tweets, this is just left-wing culture. There are no friendships in left-wing culture.
Left-wing.
If you deviate in any way from someone else's political dogma, they declare you your enemy.
Well, that's what Jimmy does. And that's what you're doing now, Glenn. And you're calling it left-wing culture. No, a lot of people on the so-called left, progressives, don't do it that way. You're the one now taking part in that. You and Joy Reid and Jimmy Dore.
No matter what else you've done in your life. And there's really no such thing as friendship. And this is the currency. They denounce people. They try and destroy people. It's how they get attention and how they get applause. I'm no fan of Nathan Robinson, who, is the socialist founder of Current Affairs. He's criticized me and many times in harsh ways. But look at what they just did to Nathan Robinson. This guy who started this small socialist magazine, made it
Well, you can watch the rest of this yourself. I'm going to watch it later. Because this is over an hour and that episode's supposed to be an hour, so we're actually 12 minutes over. So goodbye, Earthlings. This was Piero 314. I was broadcasting worldwide in search of like minds, not these twits like Answer the Question or Bill. Screw you guys. I've had enough of you guys. Now, like mind doesn't mean you agree with me. It just means you agree on being chill about disagreeing. A disassociation. Hey, what do you think? I bet it's different from what I think. And if somebody tells you, oh, no, I think exactly what you think, they're lying. They're some sort of a salesman or some bullshitter. And I broadcast this for you guys that are all different. We're all individual. The individual association of the world, of the universe. And we use the stratosphere because by flying our code laboratory at the stratosphere, we can stay at midnight. Just hang at midnight, well known to be the chillest cool time. Right? The morning people, midnight's morning. The late night people, midnight is late night. So we do this high in the stratosphere from the WCAM broadcasting platform. And just for your information, answer the question. I don't expect anybody to watch me. And I'm not drunk. I did have some wine, though, at dinner. And you're welcome to not watch me for that reason or for no reason or anything else. I'm broadcasting out to the world to make contact with people that I have a contact with. And there's a lot of them. Do you have people that you've made contact with in your real life, in your internet connections? You just worry about that, okay? Because I know there's people out there that see the future that I also see, that can communicate with me, that care about constructs and